Have you ever thought that if you just had a little bit more money to invest, or if somebody would loan you some money, you could use that to invest so that you could build that nest egg up or that nugget faster? You can build your bag up more quickly. So then, even if you just take a little bit off the top, it's still going to continue to grow. Well, I'm going to show you how to use other people's money to make yourself wealthy. In this example, we're going to go through how to use other people's money. I'm not going to put any money up at all in just a little bit of my time to set this up. And then I can basically put it on autopilot so that I can use other people's money to make myself money. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it's good to freaking see you. For anybody who wants to support the channel, you can check out some links down below. So, Hex here is the crypto that we will be using, but it can be done with staking and other things, or it could be done with different ways to acquire money. Like here, we're going to talk about a mortgage. This could also be done with a 0 APR cash advance credit card, right? This could be done with friends and family. This could be done in a plethora of different ways. But with all that being said, I'm not saying that you should do what I'm talking about in this video. You should use this and think for yourself. So, when you look at traditional finance, legacy finance, what they will do is use debt even companies like Apple, right? Apple has a gigantic cash reserve, and yet debt they still use. Why is that? Because debt here in the United States is a way to kind of like create money, so to speak, or it's also tax advantage to do that. So even if you had Tesla also is they're going to have a problem with cash in the next several years as well. But with Apple, right, having $250 billion or whatever it is today, right, of cash, why would you still take on debt? Because it's advantage to do that. You don't have to use any of you get tax advantages from that, and then you could use other people's money to make even more money. And then real estate investors do this all the time. So this property, right? I've got plenty of equity in here. I can pull out $100,000 of equity in this property. So the delta on that, the difference, like the additional on my payment, be about $540 at a 5% over 30 years. So that means whatever I'm paying now plus $540. That $540 is attributed to this $1,000. Now, in this example, we're going to run through 3 separate stakes: a 1-year, 2-year, and 3-year. But this can be, you could literally set up like a Monte Carlo simulation to run this in 10,000 different ways. The essence of what we're going to do here is borrow money cheap and put it into an investment that is earning us more than the cheap money is. So in this case, 5%, right? Mortgage rate, 5%. We're going to borrow at 5%. We're going to earn more than 5%. We just get the delta between those two. And we're going to use Hex as that vehicle. Like, otherwise I could just take this money and just buy another duplex, right? And do the same exact thing. But this way, I don't have to deal with, and that's what I was going to do until I learned about the different pieces of crypto where I can go through and do this. And I was like, well, this seems kind of interesting. I could do this. Now, the difference is you can't use leverage, right? So if I take $100,000 and buy real estate, I can buy $400,000 to $500,000 worth of real estate, right? So that real estate goes, this has gone up like a 3x in the past 5 years, right? So if you had a doubling from, say, a $400,000 property to a $800,000 property, right? You get all that extra, right? So you would put in $100,000 equity. Now you have $500,000 of equity because you're using debt to make other people's money. In this case, we're not going to put up any money whatsoever, right? because all the costs associated with the mortgage, you can just wrap it into the mortgage, right? So maybe I said 540, so this is the numbers that come out, but once you factor in closing costs, maybe it actually is 540, right? It'll be like 5 grand, 7 grand or something. Now, in this scenario, I don't want to pay this bill, right? Like I want to take my own money and continue to invest that in other things. So I'm going to set aside a reserve of about 6,500 bucks, right? So how logistically this is work? Go to the bank, right? Or online, apply, that process 30, 60, 90 days. I'm going to get 100 grand. That'll be in my account, right? I'm going to separate 6,500 bucks in a separate account, set up auto pay so that auto pay automatically pays this here, right? Automatically 540 bucks just goes in to pay that month, right? Then the rest of it I can just pay through the way I have been. Now, that leaves me with 93,500 bucks. 93,500 bucks to take and invest in something that is going to make me additional money. How I split this up here in this example, right? You could do in a million different ways, but just in this example here, we did a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year stake evenly split. So we just took 93,000 divided by 3, right? And we put that into each individual year. You could separate this however the F you wanted to. And we have time 1, time 2, 3, 4 right here. In terms of this is what the current price of HEX is, time 1, time 2, time 3, right? And what this equates to is 210,000 HEX. At the end of the stakes, that's what this is here. This is the staked interest you're getting in HEX. 25,000, almost 26,000 additional HEX, 61,000 additional HEX, and 107,000 additional HEX. So let's just run through what happens at the end of year 1, right? You basically do the effort up front to set it all, get the mortgage, set up the separate bank account, set up auto draft, period, you're done, right? At the end of year 1, you go through here and you have $35,000 worth of HEX, assuming, because if you're gonna put together anything like this, you want to be very cognizant of the assumptions that you're making as you go through this, right, to understand any risks involved. 1 year later, the price is exactly the same. That's the assumption here. The price could be different, right? We've been in a bear market, right, for 6, 7 months at this point, so the price could be a lot less than this. I'm sorry, a lot more than this. It's possible it could be a lot less. But you have this amount, right? If the price came down substantially, say it was 8 cents, right? Then this is going to be 18,000. You're going to have 18,000, right? That's all. You're still going to have enough to pay it, and you're still going to have extra that you can restake into year 2, 3, or take that extra, right? So you're 18,000 here. If the price came down another 50% almost, right? So that would be about a 1.5 year bear market continuing to go down. I personally don't believe that is a very high probability event. Possible, but I just don't see that being the case. You're left with 18,000. So what do? You take 18,000 minus another 6,500 bucks, right? 6,500 bucks goes into that account that's paying 540 every single month. You take what's left, which is 11,500 bucks roughly, 12,000 bucks, and you stake that for year 4, right? And I'm not saying you should do this. This is probably the strategy that I'm going to take, or hypothetically, right? I also factored in the hedron here, right? Because that is part of the equation, right? And it is super, super trivial, right? You're getting 11,000 B shares, which translates 1-for-1 in terms of hedron. So what you effectively get is 28 cents at current prices for hedron, right? Hedron is 0.5024, right? So it's virtually worthless at this point for such a trivial amount of B shares. Now, let's take a look at a scenario here, right? And so the same thing works for year number 2 and year number 3, right? Especially when you look at this from year number 3. Year number 3, we're assuming in 3 years, hex price is going to be exactly the same. You can let me know down below in the comments or hit me up on Twitter, right? Links down below. How likely do you think the price of hex is going to be exactly the same as it is today in 2022 in 3 years from today? What's the probability that that is an accurate statement? I don't believe that is accurate even slightly, right? So let's run a scenario here. Let's just assume in year one it is exactly the same price, right? We have 18 months worth of bear market, right? We already have 6, 7, 8, whatever it is now, plus an additional 12 months. The price of hex stays exactly the same. And in 2 years, say we reach back to 54 cents, right? So let's punch that in here. So that means by the end of year 2, assuming that this right here, and at the end of year 1, we took 6,500, we put it back into the account to continue to pay the bill. We're left with 29,000 roughly. We take that 29,000 and we stake it to year 4, or we stake it to the end of year 2, or we put it in some fashion, right? You can run this in a million different ways, but we have that still at 29,000 working for us in some way. End of year 2 coming up, right? We'll assume that we put it out for year 4. We assume that we took the proceedings from year 1 and we staked that for the end of year 4, right? Now, end of year 2, hex price comes up to 54 cents, hypothetically speaking. Now, that gives us $146,000 of hex. Yes. So we've got $146,000 of hex that we can take and pay off our loan, and we're still left with a shitload of hex. And what happens, say, if at the end of year 3, it's hex is, right? That's 36 months away. Think of what's happened over the last 36 months. Put yourself back in 2019. A lot has happened. Could the price be $3, $7? I don't know. Let's just say it's $3. That gives us $952,000. Our mortgage is paid off. Our mortgage is paid off. We go to the bank. There's a decent probability where I'm located that the price of the house is going to be even greater at that point, right? So it's all paid off. I'm just like, hey, bank, I want another loan at this higher price. I pull out $200,000 of equity, and I repeat the same thing. Plus, I still have a giant bag of cash. This could be done with a 0 APR, cash advance credit card, right? You have one credit card that has a cash advance. You got $10,000, $20,000 limit on this one. You take the cash advance, allow yourself to get another one that has 0 rollover for 18 months, right? And I'm not saying you should do this. We can do a separate video on this, right? On how somebody could hypothetically go through this, right? Credit card, $15,000 limit. Cash advance limit is $10,000 they're allowed you to take. They're going to charge you 25% plus a fee up front, right? So you're going to take that, and you say $10,000. And then you transfer. Well, there's 2 parts here. And we should do a separate video to give more depth. For anybody who's interested, you can let me know down below in the comments. $10,000 and the balance on the credit card. The balance on the credit card, we open up another credit card that has 18 months or 24 months interest free for balance transfers. We take that $15,000 and we transfer that to an 18-month 0 APY, right? Now, we have $10,000 left that we took out in cash advance. I'm sorry, not $18,000. We'll have $10,000 that we just transferred the balance to a new card, right? That we don't have to pay any interest on for 18 months. So it's basically free money. The same thing that we're talking about here, but instead of a 5% APY or interest rate on a mortgage, you're paying 0% minus the fee at the beginning, right? Like you're going to pay some type of fee to take it out, right? So you're going to pay that little fee. You're going to get your $10,000. Take that $10,000, and you have 18 months, right? So you subtract out whatever, if there's a payment over those 18 months, the minimum payment on 10 grand, $100 or whatever it comes out to be, right? So you set that in a separate account, set it up on auto pay, so that 18 months later, this $10,000 in HEX is earning you, 17% or 16% or 14% or whatever it is, and that becomes effectively free money. So I think I'll do a separate video on that one. But if you found this video interesting, if you found it helpful and intriguing, take a second, share it with somebody else. Trying to grow the channel. Plus, trying to show people different things that are possible, right? When you combine legacy and crypto. So many cool things, right? There's even crypto credit cards, which we can cover in a separate video. So I appreciate you guys. Oh, let's talk about Hedron real quick. I didn't even talk about Hedron. It's trivial, right? It's pennies. But what if Hedron in 3 years is, say 10 cents, right? Say it's 10 cents. So that'd be $1,500. But that's not exactly accurate because we didn't factor in, that's just this first, the sum, the amount that we would get in year 3. But let's take the total amount. Let's just assume we held on to the total amount of Hedron. And at the end, we decide to liquidate that or trade into something else and swap it in for something else. That's $4,100. Nothing crazy, but it's free money. It's just like literally free money from Hedron that you can print with HEX stakes. So love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comments. What did I miss? I also put in here that there's $800 of transaction fees to start this, so the number will be just marginally different because to get into the position, it's going to take $800, right? You're going to take the money from your bank account, put it into Coinbase or whatever. You're going to go from Coinbase to MetaMask, from MetaMask to a DEX to do the transaction, and then you're going to stake your HEX in 3 separate portions, right? We're splitting that evenly. So the number, the dollar amount will be marginally less, probably like $800. I'm trying to be conservative on that transaction number, the transaction fees number. So appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.